There we go.
There we go. Hey, everybody, I'm Tiffany Harlick, and it is my pleasure, really my pleasure, to talk with my teacher, my colleague, my friend, Lisa Williams today. Lisa, thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. I love it. Thank you so much for asking me.
Well, I know that people had some questions today, but before we get into that, just to orient everyone, we're having a conversation about the science and spirituality of healing, which is like lights me up. It gets all the chill bumps going. I can't wait to hear what comes out of Lisa's mouth. If you have questions, please know that we will see them in the chat, and we'll try to address as many as we can. But before we get going, just for anybody that is new to Lisa Williams, you know, Lisa is an internationally beloved psychic medium, and that's the main way that you present yourself in the world, the main way people can find you. But you also have a huge background and a huge heart in hospice and in healing work, and especially with cancer patients. And so I was hoping that you would just talk a little bit about that side of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, what happens is you get thrown into the media, you get cornered because of TV, and they only see that like this tiny little piece of you, which is mediumship, but really there's all this whole spectrum behind the scenes. And so for many years, when it started my own cancer journey, which happened at the age of 24. Which obviously only seems like yesterday, you know, I'm only 26, but no, but that happened like 26 years ago. So it started there, and I had my own journey that was going on with it. And then as I started to sort of dive in and start to get known in the healing aspect and in psychics and mediums, people were coming to me and said, do you understand about healing? Can you help me? And so my first real client was somebody who had been diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer and was given 6 months to live, or 3 to 6 months to live. And she was 23 or 26, can't exactly remember. And I said, sure. And I was absolutely confident that she wasn't going to die. I was really confident. And so as we started to work with her, you know, and bearing in mind, this was probably 20 years ago, that I actually we ended up working together, and she's still living right now. She had ovarian cancer. It never came back, and it was amazing. And so my own journey has been working with with a lot of people with quite serious illnesses, and quite serious, everything from ALS to Alzheimer's to cancer to autoimmune diseases, things like that. And, you know, I've had MS. And so with these people, what I've been working with frequency and energy. And so it's really been part of me. And then how I got into the hospice side was obviously some patients pass away. And in fact, it's been funny because those people I've worked with in a healing capacity haven't actually, I'm not saying that I was like miraculous and a healer, but it was like they haven't crossed. There was 1 or 2 that did. But then over this period of time of me working as a medium, a lot of people were saying, can you help my mum cross over? You understand death more than most people. And so I just naturally went into hospice, and I've been working with lots of different patients and clients. And so it kind of morphed. So now it's like coming together. It's really interesting. Not everyone dies, not everyone survives. And so I discovered over the last, I want to say 4 years, that I could really help those people who are in, probably a little bit longer now, actually. The pandemic kind of like threw me off a little bit, but probably over the last 6 years, I've really understood how I can work with a patient who is transitioning and communicate with them, and being able to connect deeper with them to help their family, to help their loved ones, to help them understand what is going to happen. So, and that actually started with my own grandmother. So yeah, it's been powerful. It's been a really beautiful experience, and not many people know about it.
No, and that reminds me to say, everyone, from my heart, not from my marketing channel, but from my heart, If you need ideas around what's happening during the death and dying process and where you go afterwards, I used to say, you know, nobody knows, nobody can tell you. Who could ever tell you that? And then I read Lisa's book, Survival of the Soul.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Dun, dun, dun.
It's so good. It answered every
Thank
question
you.
I could possibly think of. I adore your work. I know it was, a channeled piece. But if you're, going through a season of grief and death with your loved ones, then that is such a good asset to have, guys. And so they can get it on Amazon. They can get it anywhere. Yeah. So Survival of the Soul is a huge resource in this topic of health and healing. So what is health? It's the state of being free from an injury or illness, right? It's more than that, though. Yep. And what is healing? It's the process of making or becoming sound or healthy again. And so in terms of healing, in the healing process, right, it usually doesn't happen just exactly overnight. But sometimes there are miracles. And I wanted to know if you could talk a little bit about any healing miracles that you have seen or learned about over the years.
My gosh, there's so many. And you're right. I just want to come back onto what you were saying, because it's like when we're on a diet. Okay, we can all agree with this. When we're on a diet and we're like, oh my God, I didn't put on these 10 pounds overnight or these 20 pounds overnight. But of course you didn't, which means you're not going to lose the weight overnight as well. And that's what people expect. And so when it comes from a healing perspective, I'm just going to quote somebody else. It's not my work, but I always believe that healing is emotional space. That we are healing from emotional wounds, triggers that have happened to us over a period of time. I've worked with somebody recently who says there's 5 elements, but one of them is majority is emotion. And so when we can heal that emotion, the body then starts to heal. So, we had a real kind of breakthrough recently where someone I know had massive shoulder pain, massive shoulder pain, were actually hunched over in agony. The pain scale, and this person is somebody who is not, oh my God, my shoulder hurts, it's a pain, it's pain tolerance number 10. This is someone who is like pretty hardcore, and they're like, oh my God, my shoulder's at 10, and it really hurts. So I'm like, okay. And so as I started to work with them, I feel like let me just take these out because it might be echoing.
Just went on mute if you want to. Well, it just muted when you took them out.
There we go. Is that better?
Yes, I'm just going to turn my volume up. Anastasia, thanks for the heads up. Can you hear us better now?
Yeah. That's what I was just watching.
Okay, real good.
Is that better? Okay. So what I was when they were in this pain, there was massive amounts of pain. And so, when I started to work with her, and actually somebody else was on there, I did this simple technique, and before you knew it, she's like, oh, it's gone. And it has not come back in the last 2 weeks. And her chiropractor said her rib was out, and suddenly it's actually stayed in and it's there. And I'm like, what? And then we had it recently where I worked with somebody on my bed here, and she had terrible stomach problems. And then, I've worked with somebody who's, 2 people who have had cancer, stage 4 cancer, and that stage 4 cancer, their numbers are better than any of the doctors have seen for their whole journey of cancer. And one has been 20 years, the other one's been 13. So, I've seen the difference. And I'm not saying I am not the healer. I am the facilitator of their healing and what they want to do. So it's really, thanks, Tiff. It's really quite a powerful space to be in when you can actually facilitate people's healings.
I think that's a really important point you just brought up. It's, that's where things can go wrong. That's where things can go into the guru. That's where things can go culty. That's where things can go mysterious is when you think that one single person is the healer instead of understanding that they're a channel for facilitating healing.
Yeah.
And so that kind of leads me into another question that I had for you is, when somebody's sending healing, when they're like sending you love and prayers, sending you some light, there is a non-local reality space where that is happening. But I wondered, what's actually happening when you're becoming a channel for healing? Can you just speak to that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of, I think it really does depend on how you work with the healing. I actually like to use the quantum energy. So I like to go into a place where the quantum is, where there's no time, no space or energy. And so when I get into that quantum where it's really free flowing, and a lot of, I always say it's like a superhero, that superhero kind of look. And actually, I think first of all, we have to ask for permission. Second of all, I'm not really going to be forcing it out. It's like not this like power coming out of my hands. And it's really what I'm doing is I'm connecting deep into the soul. And I do it on a couple of levels. So I connect deep into the soul to see where you need it to go. Also, if you have told me, oh, I want to work on my head, then I am literally going to imagine I've got your head in my hands, and I'm going to be taking that energy up into the cosmos, into the quantum, and I'm going to be working on the head, on releasing whatever is there. And I do a lot of vortex stuff. So I'll do a lot of, and I use my fingers a lot. It's almost like I'm pulling energy out of my fingers. So I'm pulling energy out, and I'm just really helping the energy strands to allow the energy to flow better. So there's many ways of doing it. I just recently worked with an incredible guy, and he has his own healing technique, and I've utilized his healing techniques as well. And it's so incredible how he has just revolutionized the industry, the medical industry, because of his own healing. And he's using what he calls scalar energy, what I call quantum energy. It's the same techniques, it's the same thing, we're just using different language. And so it's powerful, and I love it. And so all I'm doing is just taking that connection in to the quantum, to the cosmos, to the stars, to the which is all your thing.
Well, we're all stardust.
We are all stardust. You said that to me. You said that to me, Master Teacher. You said, we're all stardust. And I went, oh, we are. It was crazy. It's always stuck with me. Yeah. Always stuck.
So I want to just address some of the folks in here. Yes, if you have questions, please pop them in the chat. I'm going to manage them for Lisa. And I want you to know that Eunice, one of my clients and friends, says, I love this so much. This is how I feel when I'm doing Reiki sessions. And there are lots of people in the chat saying, hi, Lisa, you look great. And good morning from Australia. And other Mary Jane's loving your book too. And so, yes, Amy, I see your question. We're going to come back to it. Did I already do the one where I said you're saying, you have the saying that, did I say that out loud already?
Not yet.
Lisa has this saying, guys, and it's, I'm healed until I'm triggered. And it's so true. It's so easy. No matter how many 12-step programs you work, no matter how many vitamins you take, no matter how many walks you go on or breath work you do, if that situation confronts you and your nervous system is set off, right? Say that your nervous system is ruled by Mercury, by the way. So there's a
really? I didn't know.
Yes, your nervous system is ruled by Mercury. So what you think and what you experience in your nervous system not only helps you with manifestation, but it also helps with your deep healing. So what you think about your healing is important in terms of your survival, in terms of your health, your belief, your spirituality, your spiritual walk. There's lots of statistics on that, that your belief in something will help carry you through. But this saying that I'm healed until I'm triggered, I wonder if you want to share about that.
Yeah, so this actually came up, with a lot of people. I've done a lot of healing work, and I hold, healing retreats in my house and things like that. And and I noticed it. I've done a lot of working on myself, a huge amount of work. And when I'm working on myself, what I like to do is, listen, we're all going to get triggered. We're all going to get our buttons pushed and everything else. And then honestly, when something happened where I got a little bit triggered, and I just said, what is going on? And so I went, I'm completely healed until I'm triggered. And I just came out with it because it's true. Because as much work as I've done on myself, it's going to come by, take me by surprise, poke me in the butt, poke me in the eye and go, boo, I'm back. And I'm like, oh God, thanks. And so when it comes back, I'm like, really? And then I realize I'm healed until that moment of being triggered. And then it's going to pop up. And then I might have to heal that moment again. Who knows?
Yeah. And I thought about it this morning. The opposite is true as well, right? Like I'm triggered until I'm healed.
Yeah, I'm triggered until I'm healed.
You're going to keep getting the same patterns over and over and over for the emotional experience to be in your face to say, yeah, this is a healing. This is for you. This is how life is happening for you, not to you. So how can we work with this and transform it?
And it's interesting how you said that, Tiffany, because I actually want to comment where we are all triggered. We all get triggered. And so I don't want anyone to think that anyone's broken. No one is broken. Right. No one is not, we've all got this point where we can heal so much, and we're all healed. It's just that those moments just come up and slap us in the face a couple of times. You should have seen me. I got to tell you this funny story. You should have seen me. I was on the way to the dentist last week, and I'm having to be talked off the ledge by two of my friends, absolutely crying hysterically, snot crying on the way to the dentist. And I'm like, going to the dentist, and he's someone Lisa, and trust. And I was like, I'm completely triggered right now. And yet I thought I'd healed this old wound from many, many years ago, but obviously I hadn't, because boom, slap across the face, snot cry. And it wasn't mean I was broken and I was not healed. It just meant that something poked a button, and it made me go, oh, okay, let me deal with that. So I recognize it. So I think everyone needs to know that they're also not broken.
Yes, totally agree. That's great. Okay, so I have some questions from the group ahead of time, and I'm going to go through those with you. And then I know that people have some really interesting questions they're asking about in the chat. So I'm going to start there. One of our friends that wrote in, she said, how do you deal with late stage and terminal cancer and spiritual ways to support healing or slowing down progression based on the area of cancer? So there's like 50 questions in that. So the first one is, how does one go and cope and deal with late stage terminal cancer? Where do you start if you're in that boat?
So I think we have to come at it from two angles. One, are you coming at it from the caretaker, or two, are you coming at it from the patient? If you're coming at it from the patient and it is terminal, I also want everybody to know it is not the end. So when we look at the late stage cancer, late stage terminal cancer, this is about, how am I going to enjoy what time I have left? How am I going to really embrace my life? How am I going to speak my truth? How am I going to heal relationships? And also, how do I want to live? Because a lot of people, they start to live their life in the way that everybody else wants them to live. Oh, well, my daughter wants me to do this. No, do you want to do it? And I think it's very important that in those late stages that they look at it and recognize that it doesn't have to be the end. Oh.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you've...
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
You're frozen, but I can hear you. I didn't want to stop you because I think everyone can still hear you, but you're...
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
There you are.
It just literally went weird on my screen.
No problem.
That's okay. All right. Yeah. So I feel like, and I'm looking at my note at the question, and I feel that we have to really look at what it is that we want. And then obviously, healing relationships, because when it comes to cancer, I truly believe that cancer is an emotional disease. It's the dis-ease in our body that is created from emotions. Now, the guy that I've been studying with and really reading a lot of his books is a guy called Dr. Tennant, and he believes there are 5 elements that stop energy running through the body. One being thyroid, next being scars, tattoos, everything else. Toxins is another, dental work, and then emotions. And he said the top 2 are emotions and dental. That's why I was going to the dentist.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And there's such a connection. And so I agree that it's an emotional. So if we can actually heal, and the other part of that thing with the spiritual ways of healing or slowing down the progression is healing the emotion behind it. Even if you have got an emotion with, an issue with your mom who's crossed over, well, guess what? The communication from spirit can actually help. If you need to heal a relationship that happened 20 years ago, it's healing on an emotional level. And again, I believe that a lot of things are emotional. I use my pendulum all the time for emotional, what he calls emotional release. I call the emotional connection. It is so important to recognize that we can slow it down. And I do really feel like Western medicine and holistic medicine do have a part to play. I'm never going to say do not take any Western drugs or big pharma stuff or whatever. I'm never going to say that. Do what feels right for you, but it has to be in alignment. And everything has to be really in alignment. And so on a spiritual level, it's really going into that courageous part of us, understanding what is my life path, what is my purpose, what am I here to do, what can I do to heal, what can I do to help slow things down. And you'd be surprised at how, I have 2 patients currently, stage 4 cancer, one 13 years, one 20 years. One of them, I thought she was going to pass. I spoke with her recently, and her cancer, in my mind, pretty much gone. Her doctor said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep on doing it. And so, it can work. There are ways of doing it. And it's just allowing yourself, one is a belief system. It is really about a belief system and it's your mental health. 2 is getting everybody else around you on board. If you have one person that's negative, get them out, because I'm not saying that you have to push them out, but just say, listen, I need you to support my journey right now. This is not about you. This is actually about me. If you want me to be around, you have to make this about me and my choices. Half the battle is they're like, don't do this because but they're fearful of them. They're fearful of losing their mom, their dad, their brother, their aunt, whoever it is. And that's when a conversation, the patient, and I encourage every patient I work with to say, what is your truth? Speak to them kindly and say, this is about me. Do you want me to get better? If you do, support my choices, because that's what's going to help.
Well, I have chill bumps and tears, so good job on the answer there. Okay, so this kind of leads into what you're talking about with emotions. There's one of our friends that wrote in that said, what role does anger play in dis-ease? And I shared with you before we went live that this is what I wanted to do my master's thesis on. So I was so excited when the question came in, because absolutely there are correlations that we have studied in science, in labs, with the relationship between emotion and disease, and specifically anger, and what that can do to the physical body. So what's the Lisa take on that?
So I feel so first of all, we've got a couple of elements. So if we can talk the bigger element, we've got our aura. Okay, so many of us are spiritual here, so you know what I'm talking about. The aura, which is the outside protection. We have our chakras. We have the aura that's in the physical. We have the aura that's in the astral. And so when we're talking about the astral and we're talking about the aura, this is where people might sort of jab, and cut, and our aura gets penetrated. Therefore, it hits our body. It gets worse. We have disease, whatever it happens. And so once our aura is penetrated, we need to heal and fix our aura, and in the astral as well. But not only that, our anger is about what we project out of our aura. So as much as someone's stabbing our aura in, we're also stabbing our aura out and the anger out. So anger is a very hard thing. This is the reason why people talk about forgiveness. It doesn't matter about you forgiving, whoever it is, a perpetrator, whoever it may have been, a family member. What it is about finding peace of mind for you. And when you're finding peace of mind for you, you're allowing yourself to step into that role of, I'm finding that peace. I'm allowing my body to settle. Anger holds energy. Anger is locked. It's blocked energy within our body. We have meridians, we have energy centers. It's holding anger. It's closing chakra systems. It's closing the energy flow. And that's something we can't afford to do. We can't afford to stop it. So I would say, if you have anger, write it down, get it out, see a therapist, see behavioral health, whatever it is, get that out. Find someone. My son is brilliant at it. He's an MMA instructor. And he started MMA because he had anger issues. And now he's the first person to say, listen to this, Tiff, you'll love it. What's your star sign? He'll ask them what their star sign is. And he'll teach them based upon their star sign. And then, oh no, seriously, this is true story. And then he'll get them, he'll understand their mental health, and then he'll get them on the punching bag. And he's like, okay, let's get all the anger out. So I think sometimes going to the gym, working out, releasing the anger is so vital, because if you don't, you're just going to hold in your body, in your energy.
So I'm going to overlay astrology with what Lisa's teaching us, because Mars, if we're looking at medical astrology, if we're looking at the health, we're looking at Mars when we're talking about anger. And when you can see like Lisa's body language of holding stuff in, and you think about Mars, it's a circle with an arrow, right? And it's holding stuff in until it spews out in this focused direction. And that can be very painful to your auric field. And to others, right? And so working through your natal Mars, working through transiting Mars. It's not all anger with Mars. There's drive, there's blood flow, there's energy behind it. There's probably a lot of Mars energy with MMA fighting. And I have to, on a personal note, tell you, I keep forgetting to tell you that I dreamt about your son on Christmas Day. It was so weird. And he, can I tell you the dream? Yeah. He was moving far away. And you were not happy about it, and you guys were just going through the feelings of it, and it was like such a weird dream, because I also had my mom came through that dream, and I told her to dream about her on Christmas, and I'm like, really, Lisa's son is going to come into this, so I'm glad that you brought that up, because I've been meaning to tell you.
Oh my God, I love that. I'm okay with him moving away if he needs to.
Well, of course, yeah, dreams, right? And like that's another area where these angers and these subconscious emotions that can contribute to our physical health or not. Dreams are a way that some of this plays out. These things that we're feeling and experiencing. So okay, so let's look at some of the most powerful self-healing techniques for people who are in pain. I'm going to separate that out from the next one. One that I would love for you to touch on is the Kirtan Kriya that you've taught us.
Yes.
Any other ones you want to?
Okay, so the Kirtan Kriya is specifically for those with Alzheimer's, any form of dementia, or Parkinson's. And the Kirtan Kriya is frequency. So it's Sata Nama. And what we're doing is we're doing the hand mudras too, which is a yoga practice. Obviously, you're proficient in the yoga. And what it's doing is where we're moving our fingers like this, so sa, ta, na, ma, what we're doing is we're activating parts of our brain that need to be activated, okay, to help our brain move fast, to help rewire neural pathways, to help So what we actually have is we have a myelin coating over neurons that are actually being used. So the more that, like, let's say we're playing a musical instrument, you know, you become proficient in doing a musical instrument. That's because what you've done is you practice. You create a myelin coating around the neuron, and then suddenly you can access it really quickly. So the same thing, it's a repetitive practice, which is 12 minutes long. You do satanama, satanama. I'm probably singing out of tune, but it's the way that you are doing it verbally with the hand motions. And what we're doing is their frequencies. Sa, 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 ta, na. I can't even remember anyway. But it's basically that satanama, satanama, and you do that for 2 minutes loud, and then you go satanama, satanama, and so you whisper it. And as you're whispering it, what you're doing is you're using a different part of the brain. And then you do it quietly for 4 minutes, and then you go back to satanama, and then you go back into satanama, and it's so it's such a powerful, you can actually show that it will increase brain activity, it increases memory, and it helps with memory loss. So I'm going to tell you, any menopausal women out there, do it. Anyone that has problems with dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, it's actually really amazing for you.
It's I do it on the plane ever since you taught us that. It's my plane ride thing to do. But just 12 minutes, and we all have 12 minutes, and you can do it when you're walking, you can do it when you're meditating. There are lots of free versions on YouTube. There are, like, I use Insight Timer has some too, but that's a good one. Any other self-healing techniques for people in pain that you want to share?
Yeah, so I would say definitely meditation. Okay, yeah. Definitely meditation is so powerful. I would really look at solfeggio frequencies. Yes. Anyone who have got any frequencies, any pain, there's different frequencies for pain. I have a whole handout that I can give you, but there's lots of different. So what we're working on is we're working on frequency. There's also quantum, so you can literally, everyone can do this. Let's all do it. All right, so we breathe in, we hold at the top of our breath, and then we release out. And what we're doing is at the top of our breath, when we're holding, you'll notice there's no time and space. No time, no space, nothing. And what we're needing to do is get our brain into this part of it. So we have the thinking brain, which is the cerebral cortex over the top of our limbic brain. We have the limbic brain, which is our thinking brain, our reptilian brain that goes, oh my God, life sucks. Fight, flight, fright, all of that. And as what we want to do is we want to get into our feeling brain. We want to get into our intuition. We want to get away from the, oh my God, let me go into WebMD, Dr. Google, all of that. And we go into our emotional brain. We're actually about allowing ourselves to calm down, go into our central nervous system. Everything's going into just allowing our parasympathetic nervous system, all of our nervous system just to calm down. Sometimes we can go into meditation, we can sleep. Sleeping is going to absolutely help. So what we need to do is we need to go more into the limbic brain, which is emotional, rather than the overthinking brain. Mm-hmm. And that's how you heal.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that you just gave everyone the secrets to the universe with that. If you get nothing else out of this hour with Lisa Williams, that's the ticket. There's so much right information with what you just shared. So thank you for sharing that so freely.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a couple more on our list, and then I'll move over to the chat, guys. So if you're just joining us and you've got questions about your personal healing or just general healing, then please put them in the chat. We're going to get to as many as we can. The next one, you talked about solfeggio. This one's kind of a personal take, I think. Why would spirit allow someone to suffer in pain and disease when there are solutions? When we heal emotional issues, how long does it take the body to catch up? So there's this conundrum going on for this person where, it's that question of a spiritual journey. Why am I being made to suffer, right? Like, what is that?
So 2 parts here. Why would spirit allow someone to suffer in pain and the disease where there are solutions? Well, first of all, it's about your life plan. What is the lesson that you've had to come in to learn? You know, so again, I look at one of my clients who is heavy suffering. You know, I have a couple of clients who I work with, and they are super suffering, and through their suffering, their family is learning this lesson. And so they may have been the one where they're like, you know what, I have to be tag, I'm it, to help my family learn. And that was their lesson in life. And when you're going through it, there is that like sense of, oh my God, you know, and it's hard because I've been that person. But reality is there's a massive lesson in it, huge lesson. It could be trust, it could be all sorts. And it could be, and there's also an element where we chose our life. And I know people are going to be like slamming me for this, but we chose our Lisa. No, we really chose our life. We chose our family, we chose our friends, we chose our life path, we chose all of the lessons. You know, Tiffany, you and I had a soul contract to come together. You know, it's Wednesday afternoon, and we had this soul contract to come together. Hey, Tiffany, Lisa, what are you doing on the 3rd of January? Hey, let's come together. You know, to talk about healing. And so in that space, our soul has to really connect. And so, you know, spirit wants to help you. But when we make it difficult for ourselves, and we just, instead of like fight, anger, when we have this moment of acceptance, surrendering, and saying, okay, now show me what's going to help me, that shows everything. And so it says, when we heal emotional issues, is that part of it?
I thought it was. Maybe it's not.
Okay. But how long the emotional issues, it takes the body, it can take instantly, you know. But if you've got a lot of emotions attached to it, and we overthink, then what tends to happen is we tend to become so attached. Now, I will make a very, very strong evaluation here, and I base this on my years of experience. Those people who are very much in their head, like, I need to work things out, I need to understand, I need to, you know, I'm reading the news, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at that, detail, tend to have struggled with illness. Yet, if we look at the ancient medicine wheel, right, Tiffany, you and I have talked about this. When we're so in our head, you drop into your heart, you drop into that gratitude space. That illness is actually going to be coming away from you. When we're so in our spirit, we ground naturally because it's our grounding. We don't want to be up there. So what I encourage people to be is, when we're overthinking it, oh my God, 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 drop into the heart and have gratitude, however it may be, and find balance. And when we find balance, I'm not saying that you know, people who are more in their body don't have illness. I'm not saying that. But when we overthink it, we create it. The law of attraction.
Right.
We want to drop into our heart and have gratitude for where we're at, and then take it from that moment.
You guys know the saying that worrying is praying for something that you don't want, right? And so that's the illustration of it. You know, I had to do that this morning. I was overthinking something and just like, boop, come back. And sometimes I have to do that 60 times in a minute. And sometimes it's once a month. And you know what I mean? And so it's a process, it's a journey. So I want to switch over here to the first question in the chat from Amy. It's kind of healing adjacent. I think it's interesting here. She's saying, if I never get a reading from my friend, does it mean that he reincarnated? So
no, actually, Amy, I'm just looking at your question. No, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have he's reincarnated. It could be that, you know, he's like, hey, I come and visit you in your dreams. Why aren't you taking note? You know, or it could be, hey, that butterfly was for me. Didn't you hear me? You know, there could be a reason why. Because it doesn't necessarily mean that he's reincarnated. It could be you have to just look for the signs. And it could be the fact that you know, he doesn't want to communicate with a medium. He may want to actually communicate with you directly. So the only way to find out is really to connect in and start working with him, write letters to him. And if you feel him come around you, then just start a conversation, strike that conversation up. You'd be surprised where it takes you.
Amazing. Thank you. And then Jeanette is asking, she's got a boy, Elliot, that has been missing since November. And she's just wondering if it's okay, if it's kosher, if it's ethical, if it's good to do healing work on his behalf. So this is somebody that's missing. Is it okay to do healing work?
So I would use something like a pendulum or muscle testing on this. All right. So if you're working with somebody who you haven't had permission, use a pendulum. Always ask the pendulum, can you give me a sign for a yes? Okay. So all of a sudden it's going to go one way. Give me a sign for a no. So it'll move another way. Okay. So ask, am I able to connect in Elliot's behalf? And you ask it and it will start giving you a yes or a no. Now I'm getting a yes. All right. So then you can start utilizing that and you can just send energy. How you muscle test is yes, this is a yes, and this is a no. So you test it. Is my name Lisa? Well, yes, it is. Is my name Tiffany? No, it's not. All right. And you can overthink it. Is my name Tiffany? When we're dropping into that emotional part of our brain, is my name Tiffany? No. So our body knows. So I would always say, do a muscle test or look at pendulum work and then see if you feel, if you've been told you can actually send healing.
It's so easy and so wise. It's just like, check in, just do a little check in, just ask, Raywin says hello. Lisa G says hello to two of her favorites. And Eva is just sharing that she's healing her childhood by writing a book about it. And so that's what Lisa's talking about. Get it out of your head and onto paper. Eunice has a question about mental health. And what's the first thing you would address for somebody who wants to begin their healing journey with mental health?
Okay, so mental health, what is the first thing you address with someone who wants to begin their healing journey? Mm-hmm. So first of all, I would always have support. I think when we talk about mental health, thank you for that I can bring it up and I can look at it while I'm looking over the questions. When we look at mental health, I think one, you need support, so work with a therapist, a counselor, a coach, someone licensed, and start working with that. Next thing, I would absolutely start working with journaling and recognize where you're at. There's a lot of times when we get into mental health that we can perpetuate and go down into a spin. So use your phone. Your phone is a fabulous timer. Put a timer on there and write for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Do not do any more than that. And then go and do something completely different. Bring your energy up. Use music. Use all these different tools that you enjoy, and it's going to change everything. But first of all, is make sure you have someone to support you, to do what is right for you, whatever you're really internally aligned with, and that's what's going to help you.
Okay, perfect. For Hope, she's asking about help sleeping. And I think this is a good one to talk about because, if we don't have sleep, if we can't get into REM, if we can't get into deep sleep, we are acting from a frayed place, like nervous system frayed. Help sleeping, right? You could look at, is there an intercepted Pisces in the chart? Is there something going on with Neptune in the birth chart? You could be looking at Chinese medicine and the organs, like the liver that wakes you up at 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. You could be looking at German New Medicine, which is an amazing way to look at it. You could bring in homeopathics. You could bring in the flower essences. And, I think that Lisa's point with the pendulum is great. It's like check in, see where to start, because help sleeping, there's so much to it. Are you drinking coffee? Are you worrying about stuff? Are you overloading with sugar? Because, I do all those things. I'm drinking coffee. I'm eating sugar. I'm thinking a lot. And then I'm like, but I can't sleep. Well, get real. What are you doing? Or are you worrying about something that you haven't fully digested, that you haven't taken to a place of surrender and said, I can't control this situation. I need help, from a higher being. What would you say to somebody about sleeping?
Well, it's funny because I just had some friends of ours stay and they left today, and she is a sleep study expert.
Oh.
And so we've talked a lot about this over the last week. And, you know, it is what she calls sleep hygiene. Are you drinking coffee? What is your, you know, are you trying to get to sleep with blue light in your face? You know, changing the way that your eyesight is, you know, lowering the lights, dimming the lights, maybe putting red light on, maybe changing the optical nerve. And so you're actually looking more amber light as it becomes dusk, and then red light as it becomes darker. So your brain is starting to work with your circadian rhythm. So I think it really is looking at, and also having a sleep study done. Sleep apnea is a real thing. You know, there also could be a lot of deep trauma that you have that is connected to your sleep. And so, you know, sometimes you have deep trauma that struggle is, I'm one of those people who do not like going to bed. I will stay up until I'm hanging. I'm like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, right. But I am that person because I know where my traumas come from. And so it's deep-seated trauma that I have to heal. That's all it is. And so, but a lot of people have anxiety around it. Maybe journaling, having a gratitude journal, organizing your clothes, getting rid of stress, organizing your clothes, your day for the morning. All of these things will help you with your sleep.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. Anastasia, one of our members, has shared that she's been dealing with Meniere's disease and vertigo. And how could she work with that?
So actually with vertigo, I've done a lot of visualization techniques. And so when someone's having that bout, there is I have a friend of mine who struggles with it. And so she does get into a panic attack at that point when she has that vertigo. So what I would actually really encourage is a breathwork technique. So breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, what it does is it calms your nervous system down. And when you're allowing yourself to calm down, then what I would do is I would probably close your eyes and think of a color, think of a shape, think of that, and just be aware of how it changes. And you may not want to close your eyes, maybe focus on a point, but focus on a point and try to take your mind into the more the limbic system, which is more the emotional brain, and connect deep into the breathing, and then allow yourself to do that. There's a couple of techniques that I would love to share with her, which is really about visualization. So visualizing, looking at a point, visualizing it, a color, a shape, and allowing it to morph, watching it morph, really focusing on the breathing. I would also encourage her to do a daily practice of spirituality and meditation and journaling as well. And I've actually found that a lot of people that's actually helped them.
Okay. We're both stuck here.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Well, lovely. Mercury's in shadow, guys. It's not, it's out of, but it's in shadow. So can you hear me okay, Lisa, everybody?
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting. Let's proceed. And it might be Spirit saying, hey girls, it's time to wrap up. I always like love talking to you when you do a Q&A, but I also feel like the pressure of, if I could ask any question in the world, what would it be? Because you have so much inside, so much to pour out, so much to share. And so I know that, yeah, no, thank you. It's exciting. There's a couple other people on here. I want to go to Robert. He's got a question about tips for opening my heart and letting the resistance that is held there to go. He's tried a lot. And so how do we open our hearts when we just...
So there's actually something that really just came to mind for you, Robert, is actually start a daily practice with cacao. Cacao is a beautiful fruit, and it's a fruit that's actually out in the world. It's legal, so it's not something that you can, you're like, oh my God, I can't drink that. Go and get ceremonial. Oh, there we go, we're back. But yeah, go and get ceremonial cacao, create a daily practice of having daily rituals with cacao. What that does, the theobromine in the cacao naturally opens the heart up. And then I would start a gratitude practice. And so what is it that you can create? Sit with the cacao. It's like a hot cup of chocolate, hot chocolate. there's certain ways that you can make it a little bit sweeter, because it is a little bit on its own. But sit with it. I would really allow yourself to be in that heart opening space, and then journal. I think that's what's really going to help you. It was just my intuition there.
Perfect. Yeah, cacao is awesome. You and Noelle introduced me to that this year, and I have incorporated it. And I mean, please give me an excuse to incorporate a chocolate into my.
Yeah. I know this is my cacao mug.
Will you just remind us of the healer that you mentioned?
Yeah. So I'm working. Yeah. So the guy, I mean, he's Dr. Tennant. There he is in there. He's 83. Bless him. Dr. Tennant in Dallas. And he is a phenomenal guy. He talks about scalar energy. I've been working with him. His knowledge is unbelievable. So I've been working with him. I've been working with a variety of different healers as well, but that was the one I think I mentioned today, who has the 5 practices.
Well, that's awesome. So thank you for bringing that back up. I want to talk about a couple of the courses that you have coming up. One is Sacred Soul Mastery. And this is one that like your community has been so excited about. Mm-hmm. And it is a much anticipated course. Will you talk a little bit about, it's a 5-month course, and what people could expect in it? I'm going to put it in the chat and pin it for you guys in case you want to work with Lisa on your healing yourself, how to become a healer.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And if you put the code HEAL in there, you'll get a massive discount. Okay. So let's put the code HEAL in there. You'll get a huge discount. So it is amazing. So this whole course came about when we were doing Master Teacher, when we were doing CSA.
Yeah.
And
yes, CSA is Certified Spiritual Advisor. So
yes, that's right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And so as we were doing it, I was teaching people how to channel energy from the universe. And then I started to work with energy coming up from the earth. And then I went, I realized there was other techniques that needed to be shared, and that I really had only just scratched the surface on it. And so what I decided to do is I started to really look at it. And so I started to understand there's so many different avenues of healing. And I've been in the healing modality for 30 years. And so I thought, what better thing to do than bring all my practices of 30 years into one place? And so we're going to be working with quantum healing. We're going to be working with trance healing. We're going to be working with life path. We're going to be working with chakras. We're going to be working with auras. We're going to be working with skin energy. We're going to be working with frequencies and the way that we vibrate, and then moving through that. It's a certified course. You come to a point, and then if you want to take it further, then we'll go into Dying in the Light, which is helping people transition. And so it is such a powerful, powerful, powerful course. I am so excited about it. I've been doing a lot of testing recently on different people to kind of practice the different methods. And we have had so much knowledge that has come through. And we've been getting really amazing results on the test studies that we've been doing. Okay. So Nadine, Dr. Tennant's name is Jerry Tennant.
Jerry Tennant in Dallas, Texas.
Yes.
I love seeing
him. I've got to tell you, he's a Mormon, right? And he's like, I don't know about this woo-woo stuff. And he comes in and he's got his little pendulum going, and but he's amazing. And I'm going to tell you, it was the most insightful 2 days that I had. I just unbelievable. And then when he asked me to help him and work with him, and he's like, my hip actually got better, Lisa. I was like, no way, really? Oh my God. And there's this incredible doctor, and he healed himself. I mean, this is unbelievable. I had the just absolute privilege of sitting with him, and he's retired, but he just can't, give it up, because he has a calling to help people. So it's really powerful. Really, really powerful.
Okay, I have one more little Lisa story I want to bring up before we close, guys. And please tell Lisa thank you and that you love her. This was so amazing to share all your knowledge and some good ideas here for, I mean, really, it's like one of the most intimate things people can talk about is their health and the health of their loved ones and the crossing over process. So we just honor everybody that has come and brought forward questions today. One of the stories I wanted you to talk about was with our friend Turan in Norway, and she's a powerful healer. She stands for healing, and she's trained by you, Lisa, and she's she does incredible work. But one of the things that she brought to one of your workshops last December, it was in Tampa, were some amazing photos of what was going on during the healing process. So is that something you would just kind of tell us a little story about?
Turan is amazing. I mean, I've known Turan for, I want to say 5-6 years. Turan is amazing. She's one of the only healers I'll go to. And, she'll work on real angelic energy. And so she'll ask the spirit to make sure that she's working, so that she'll use her phone. And, spirit will just automatically put these images on her phone and these light orbs, and you can see her doing psychic surgery, and the hands are shaking. She's incredible, and she's such a source of knowledge for healing when it comes to the energetic work of it. What I plan on doing with Sacred Soul Mastery is bringing the energy work with the science behind it.
Yeah.
She's just beautiful. I mean, beautiful. It's like oozes out of her. It's unbelievable. And she's just got such a light to her that she just pulls this energy so in, and she's just it's just amazing. That's what
Turan. So I saw the picture of you. You guys were on the cover of a magazine recently, and I was like, oh, we got to bring up her work and how it's so cool how the light orbs come in, and you can actually see, the helper beings, that are there.
It's amazing. And we're doing a workshop, so I'm actually going to Norway in September, and I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff with Turan. So I'm so excited about her. You can just go to, if you Google Turan Healer Norway, you'll come up with it. I can never pronounce her last name, but she's phenomenal.
Here, I'll put her in the link. But guys, yes, I just thought that was a cool story to bring up because of what you can visually start to see happen in your practice. There's nothing to be scared of with healing work. You're going to set your intention, and you're going to be a channel, and the energy is going to flow, and you're not really in control of that or the outcome. You're just offering yourself as a vessel for healing to occur, should that be right for that person. Yeah. So, this has been lovely, Lisa. I want to honor and respect your time. And there's so many people in here, of course, saying thank you, thank you. You guys, if you get the opportunity to study with like Lisa freaking Williams on healing, I mean, like, don't not, if you really want to learn about this work, go to the top. That's something that my grandmother taught me. If I want to take a class in anything, go to the top. And Lisa's studied with everyone. She has a wealth of knowledge and heart and experience. She'll learn with you if she doesn't, I haven't ever had the experience of you not knowing, but in the case that you don't, you'll figure it out and find out.
Or I know someone who does.
And if this is part of your heart's calling, if this is part of your pilgrimage of the soul, if this is your soul destiny to work in healing for yourself, for others, or for the tribe of humanity, or for Mother Earth, or for the plant kingdom, if you want to be in healing, I really just invite you to strongly consider this course. And she has heavily discounted it for us, which is, it's just a blessing, to spend 5 months with Lisa, it will change your life and you will get so much out of it. So heal and go to lisawilliams.com and do it for yourself. Fill your own cup first and understand the science and spirituality of it. Anything else you want to tell people, Lisa?
Well, yeah, I do actually, but we talk a little bit about my course. We also have you, Tiffany, coming over onto the school too. Which, she's just ignored this. But Tiffany starts. I'll just brag about Tiffany for a moment. Okay, Tiffany's not there. But yeah, Tiffany is teaching. She's a master at astrology, and she is also teaching a beginner's astrology class, as well as other things, starting on January 10th. So go over to Lisa Williams, actually do astrology.lisawilliams.com, and you'll find Tiffany. All right, so let me just pick Tiffany up for a moment. And yes, so, but I will say, astrology, healing, spirituality, all of the spiritual gifts, it's really an art form. It's who we are at the deepest core moment. So when we're fully in alignment, if it doesn't resonate for you, your body's going to reject it. If it really is resonating for you, your body's going to open up and accept it. And that's what I would say.
That's amazing. Mic drop. And let's mention that Dying in the Light, I have a whole death and astrology segment for you.
Yeah.
Medical astrology goes right along with it. And so, if we can be resources for you, you know where to find us. We're both incredibly accessible. But thank you again to Lisa and everybody for your sweet, supportive comments. It's so nice to see everybody here today. Until next time, guys, namaste. And thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. Thank you. Namaste.